friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm calling this alcohol ink for memory keepers. There are tons of alcohol ink videos and tutorials. Tim Holtz, who I prefer his brand, the Ranger brand, so I have his. Tim Holtz has tons of videos on alcohol inks. Jennifer McGuire does. But a lot of the alcohol ink videos that I've watched when I was learning how to use these are from like an artist perspective or from a card maker's perspective. But I don't know if there are any alcohol ink videos designed for memory keepers. So this is going to be less a tutorial and more, all right, so you have your alcohol inks, you've made your background. What can you do with them to get them on pages, right? Because that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a person who has photos and who wants to document them. I also have a ton of supplies, so I'm trying to find the happy medium between them both. So I will tell you a few things, like basics, I guess, of alcohol inks and what you need. I prefer to work on this. This is Graphics Craft Plastic in the opaque white. A lot of people use Yupo paper. I prefer the craft plastic because I can get it in 12 by 12. So one, it's cheaper than Yupo paper. Two, you can cut a variety of sizes. Yupo paper, I think it comes in like 5 by 7 and like 8 by 10. But when it gets bigger than that, it becomes really expensive and hard to find. And the craft plastic you can get on Amazon. Pretty much with alcohol inks, it has to be a plastic surface. It cannot be a porous surface. So they do make like alcohol ink cardstocks, which have been treated. You can put alcohol inks on vellum. But typically you see people working on Yupo paper or the Graphics Craft plastic. The other thing these are needs. You do need 91% alcohol. Alcohol inks will not work or do what they're supposed to with 70%. And then this is the blending solution. I've seen some people make their own with like glycerin and something else, but I just bought the blending solution. And then you need your inks. I keep my inks in a alcohol ink storage tin from Ranger. So this is my color palette that I have to work with. The other thing I have the alcohol ink blower. This is not a need, but it's a really handy tool. I've seen people do the same thing with like heat tools on a low setting or a blow dryer. I like this thing. I feel like I feel pretty awesome using it. The other thing I have on my desk is some pipettes to put alcohol on my surface. You do need to protect your surface. You guys, I cannot explain this enough. Alcohol inks stain. They stain everything. What they will not stain is this glass media mat. So you want to get something to protect your surface. You can put a trash bag on your desk, or if you think you're gonna be like pretty, contained, just working on a media mat, which is what I do. I've stained my nails with this. I've stained a few other things. So, I mean, most people recommend you wear gloves, but I'm living on the wild side, so I'm not wearing gloves. But that's pretty much what you need to get started. So I have a few things on my desk right now. I have a few pieces of the craft sheet because I'm making a layout for, so the intention of this by the time we're done is to have a layout for my Life Crafted album. So the way I prefer to use alcohol inks is to, one, make backgrounds for pages. So I'm going to make a background pattern paper. And two, the other thing I like to do is die cut out of them. You can do a few things. So here's one thing that I discovered while I was hanging out with my friend Jessica. You can color acrylic pieces. So if you shop, so her shop is Color Cast Designs, which is where I get all of my acrylic pieces. But I know like Ellie Studio sells acrylic, or Bramble Fox sells acrylic. So let's say you get a piece you really love, but it's not a color that you would use. So this was, you can't really tell, but this was like a transparent yellow color. I was actually able to color this with the alcohol ink. So if you have acrylic pieces lying around and the color palette no longer serves you, you can recolor it in 2 seconds, and now you have pretty much put life back into something that you might not have been using otherwise. The other thing I like to do, when I said die cut letters, I said make background. You can also stamp on them and then die cut. So I'm going to be making a layout with some pictures of me running, because I'm doing that now. I don't know how long I will be doing that. If my husband has his way, I'll be doing it forever, but I'm running now, so there. So I'm going to be documenting some pictures of me running, and I'm going to show you the few ways that I like to use it. So I'm just going to stop talking now and get to work. So I am a bad girl, and I actually don't have my inks swatched yet. It is on my list of things to do, which is eventually swatch my alcohol inks, but I haven't done them yet. So I'm kind of just going to be guessing at the colors that I think I want to use. And I'm going to use one of the new alloys. So there's alloys and there's mixatives. And I will not pretend to explain the difference to you because I will get it wrong. But pretty much they're both metallics. Oh God, let's see if I remember what the difference is. I think the mixatives spread out more than the alloys do, but guys, don't quote me. I really don't know what I'm talking about. So pretty much it's all you need. So I'm going to get started and we're going to do this part live. So we'll see. We'll see. I've never done this on camera. So what I like to do before I start is just put some alcohol directly on my background. And for this one, I'm going for those wispy edges. So I want to put a lot of alcohol. Blending solution helps your alcohol inks blend. I mean, that's what it's in the title. And alcohol helps, it lightens them up and it also helps them to move around. So I'm just going to, when you want to do like a wispy edge technique like this, less ink is more. You don't want to just drop a bunch of ink right now because you have no idea how it's going to move. So I'm going to put that down, put a little bit of alcohol, mix it up, and then I'm just going to hit it with my alcohol ink blower. And you want to just be varying the pressure and the direction that you hit this from. And you see we're getting those edges, and where it starts to like sit and not move, you can just put some more alcohol on it. And that's going to help those colors move better. Now, you got to work with this because I don't want, sorry, can't talk and work. I don't want like dark edges. I want it to be kind of wispy and blown out. So I have my alcohol in my pipette and I'm just dropping alcohol on places that I want to kind of wake the color back up and make it move a little bit more. It is very hard to do this and talk, like very hard. All right. Okay, so I like what the wild plum has done so far. So I'm going to now put some, if I can get this open, put some blending solution down on my page because I'm going to put more color. So I'm going to put some blending solution and then I'm going to go in with Gumball, which is, I think if I remember correctly, like a much brighter pink. It's almost red. So I'm going to put a few drops of Gumball in. And then same thing, just start pushing that out. And again, I'm hitting it from a variety of directions. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. But I'm hitting it from a variety of directions to kind of get that color to fan out. And I'm trying to avoid going all the way to the edge, just because I want white edges. Also, this is going to be a, like I said, a Life Crafted notebook background. So I'm going to cut it in half. All right, I am actually really happy with that so far. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of Pink Sherbet, which is a lighter cool toned. Just want to put some light, kind of lighten this up somewhere. So I'm just, you see guys, see with the blending solution on the page, when you add the color, it just kind of pools in it and then it starts moving it again. Now, if I wanted to, when you're going for like a wispier background like this, you're going to end up using more alcohol than the blending solution, just because the alcohol, again, lightens the color and it helps it move a little bit. And you see I'm getting kind of those wispy edges. So I'm just dropping like a single drop at a time and getting this wispiness. Okay, I really like how that looks. I think that looks really good. I'm really happy with this. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more wild plum in these places where it got a little too white. Add some blending solution back and kind of just blow it out. And see, when you layer color, because this is like plastic and it's not sinking into the paper, you can layer color and then you get all this like kind of bubble action happening. Like you guys totally see what I'm talking about. You get this kind of like bubbling layered action happening. And so I'm just dropping in some alcohol, blowing it out. Dropping in some alcohol, blowing it out. There we go. Wow. So pretty much here is the base for my page. So I'm going to now add some of the alloy. With the alloy, you have to shake it really well. With the mixatives also, you have to shake it really well. Now, I I've been naughty. I haven't covered my surface, but for the most part, my alcohol has stayed on my paper. Nothing has pretty much gotten off of my paper and anywhere else. I mean, it doesn't even look like there's any alcohol ink on my media mat, so that works. All right, so gonna pop a few drops with the alloys. A little bit goes a long way. So I'm gonna drop a little bit of the alloy, add some blending solution, and then hit it. And this is just gonna add some sparkle and some shine. And I really want this to kind of spread out because the mixatives, they kind of like behave like leafing. So if you leave them for like 2 seconds, they're gonna start clumping, and I don't want them to do that. So I'm just gonna keep adding some blending solution to keep them moving, keep them nice and spread out. And there we go. I think that's our background. I really like that. All right, it's a little bit harsh right here. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of alcohol, kind of wake those colors up. And with alcohol inks, this is my favorite part, that you can just kind of go back and forth. And like, even if you weight a panel and you don't like it, like leave it alone, sleep on it, come back to it the next day, and you can just add some alcohol, add some blending solution, and literally wake this right back up and start working over it again. So there we go. That's gonna be the background for my page. So I have read and I've heard Tim Holtz say that unless you really need this like desperately, it's better to let it air dry. So I am going to set these panels, everything I make, I'm pretty much gonna set off to dry for a little bit. And then come back. If you really needed it dry, you could hit it with a heat tool. This is not the cap. What is wrong with me? You could hit it with a heat tool, but from what I've heard Tim Holtz say, it's better to let it air dry. So that's what I'm going to do. So pretty much, I'll hold this up so you can see it. Here is my traveler's notebook background, and how fun and sparkly and pretty is that? I'm super happy with that. Okay, so now that we've made our background, which is like that more wispy edge technique, I'm going to fill up this panel. Like, I'm going to make a mess and fill up this panel with color because I want to stamp and then die cut some stuff out. So I'm going to pull out some greens. I'm not sure how many greens I have, so we'll see. I have citrus, I have pistachio, that's blue. Oh, I actually don't have a lot of green. I have way more blue than green, so that needs to be fixed. But I'm gonna pull out some teals. Okay, so I have citrus, pistachio, Laguna. I think that 3 colors should be enough. And same thing. So I think I'm gonna start with the darkest color and then fill in with the lightest color. So I'm just gonna put a few drops. So same thing, I put down my alcohol in the background. I'm just gonna put a few drops of Laguna and blow this out. Now with this time, I don't care about making a mess. Like, I want to go edge to edge with this color. And since I want this to be super saturated, this time I'm gonna use less alcohol and more blending solution, because alcohol will thin out your colors and you'll lose some of that color saturation, but blending solution will just help your colors blend. So I'm just putting in drops of the Laguna, which is actually a lot more green than I thought. This is why I need to swatch my colors. So I put in a few drops of the Laguna and then blew it out. And so we have that really fun marbled, and I could totally die cut out of just this and leave the marbling, but I'm gonna put another layer of color on top. So I'm adding some blending solution, and now we're gonna add some pistachio to the party. And pistachio is more of a true green, which is blending really nicely with the Laguna. And so I'm doing the same thing, just popping a few drops in, blending this out with my alcohol ink blower. Wow, that's really nice. Okay, and then just gonna add a few highlights with citrus. So same thing, adding, and you see, just adding the blending solution, the colors instantly wake back up. So if you didn't want to add any more color, but you just wanted to blend some stuff in, you could just add the blending solution and wake those colors back up. So citrus has a lot more yellow in it than the other colors. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of green right there. And it's kind of a highlight color. So I want to die cut some leaves. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm making a panel that I can die cut some leaves out of. So I'm gonna stamp on this and die cut that. All right, that is pretty much that. That is my leaf background. So there are some places where it's a little too harsh for my taste. So I am just gonna add a little bit of alcohol, not a lot, because I don't wanna lose this color, the pigment, but I kind of just want these colors to move a little bit more. And I feel like alcohol inks give you, if you're familiar with like what geodes look like, that's 100% the vibe I get from alcohol inks. They feel like mini geodes. So I'm just mixing the alcohol and the blending solution because I kind of need these colors, especially in the middle here. It's just like a pool. So I kind of want them to move a little bit more. And then when you're comfortable, you just stop blowing it around, and where it sets, like where it stops, is where it's gonna dry. So I'm gonna leave that alone, put my inks back, and then to clean up your media mat, all you have to do is pop some alcohol on your media mat. It is going to pick up the rest of these alcohol inks, and then you can use a paper towel, or like if you have a devoted cloth or what have you, that's how you clean it up. So I'm just gonna use my tweezers to pick this up because it's wet and I don't want to get alcohol inks all over my fingers. Okay, so there we go. So here, I'm gonna hold it up so you can see. That's gonna be my leaf background. I'm going to set it right over here to dry. Clean this up and we'll work on the color. So one of my favorite things about alcohol inks is that there's so many things you can do with them. Like Ranger makes blending application felts. So you can literally just color straight onto your background. They make an alcohol lift resist pad where you could put like rub it through a stamp and lift it up. You can do just lifting with straight alcohol. There's so much you can do with alcohol inks. It is such a versatile medium. And it doesn't take much to get started. Like pick your favorite color palette. Pick out a few inks that you know you're going to want to work with and just start with that. So the last thing I want to do is make a panel for some flowers that I want to cut out. And I'm going to stick to, I think, the lighter color. So I think I'm going to use sherbet, pink sherbet and salmon. Because I don't want it to be, oh, and I'll add a little bit of cloudy blue. Because it's going to go on this. So I have to make sure that the colors I pick are going to make sense on this background, because this is good. Like I said, this is the background for my paper. So here are, oh, I shouldn't have touched this, but see, the leaves are going to pop off so nicely against that, but I don't want to introduce too many colors and then have it just become like a muddy mess. Although I do love a rainbow, so I could do that. All right, so same thing. I'm just going to put a few drops of alcohol, and these are just some pipettes that I got off of Amazon. Any pipettes work. Now I'm going to put the salmon down first, and then I'm going to put the pink sherbet, and then we're going to be really smart and picky about where we put that cloudy blue. Is that cloudy blue or periwinkle? Actually, do I have periwinkle? No, that is cloudy blue. Because orange and blue are complementary colors. And just because these sit on top of each other, I don't want to risk making mud. I don't know if that happens with alcohol inks. It hasn't happened to me yet, but we're not going to experiment too much today. So there's the salmon. We're going to go ahead and add some pink sherbet right on top of that. So I'm going to put the pink sherbet down, which is a lot cooler of a color. And same thing, just start blending that with the alcohol ink blower. Now, I've seen people use a straw for this to blow the color around, but you have to be very smart about the fumes with this. Everybody says work in a well-ventilated area. I have a window open right now, just so you're not worried about fumes. So I wouldn't use a straw, especially not since this tool is available right now. But if you had a heat tool on a low setting, you can use the heat tool to blow the color around, and it will do pretty much the same thing. So I'm just going ahead, dropping in a few drops of this pink sherbet, moving it around, getting that really fun marbling action. I'm gonna add a few drops of blending solution. Now, if you're like, blending solution kind of pours out of the bottle, so you can also put this in a pipette, so you can be really like picky about where you put it. I just kind of risk it, but you guys know me, I kind of live life on the edge anyway. All right, so that's that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add some of the cloudy blue. And I'm trying to put it where there's more pink than orange. And I forgot to put blending solution down, so we need some of that. And everywhere the color is drying and not moving, just again, pop some blending solution on it, and that instantly wakes those colors back up so they start moving. And so the pink and the blue are obviously, this shouldn't be no surprise to anybody, making a kind of purple where the colors meet. And I think it's really pretty. I'm gonna add a little bit more pink right here and just quickly move them around just so there's no gaps. Oh, this does feel very geode. I like this a lot. You know what? I think we're gonna add a little bit of sparkle to this one. I didn't add any sparkle to my leaves, but I do kind of want to add some sparkle to this one. So I'm gonna grab an alloy in. Sterling is 2 silver. Mind, let's see. We'll go with statue. So remember, you just have to shake these up really well. There is a little ball in them, so you should shake it until you hear that ball moving. And then we're gonna pop that in. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit of blending solution where I plan on adding the alloy, just so I'm not popping that right in there. There we go, perfect. And then move that around. So you see 3 tiny drops, and there is a lot of sparkle happening here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit more of that pink, just so it's not completely taken over by the gold that I just put down. Actually, I think I'm gonna add a little bit more of the salmon too, because I feel like I lost that color. It's kind of just faded into the background. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of that salmon. And with the alloys, if you let them sit, they will just kind of start to clump and leaf on you. So I'm just putting some alcohol in them and moving them around just so they don't sit too, like they're not super clumpy. And just following it immediately with this thing, whatever this thing is called, the alcohol ink blower. Wow, talking and working is not, it's hard. This is hard. All right, I'm gonna add in a little bit more of the blue right here, and a little bit of it right here. And kind of wisp it out. All right, so that is what I'm going to stamp my flowers on. So pretty much I have my flower panel ready, my leaf panel ready, and my background. So the only other thing I'm gonna do is actually make a panel that I'm gonna die cut some letters out of, but it is the same exact process. So I'm gonna speed that one up so you're not watching me do that, because it's the same process as I've been doing for the rest of them. And then we're gonna come together and actually make a page with all these little panels I'm making. But before we do that, here is what that one looked like. So you see I have the sparkle, I have the marbling, and then next to the green, so you kind of see where my vision is, that's what that looks like together, and I think that's gonna be super pretty when it's all stamped and die cut out. So again, like I said, to clean this up, just throw your alcohol right on your mat, and then you grab a paper towel or a cloth, and it wipes right off. So I'm just gonna grab one more piece of craft plastic, and guys, all the panels that I'm making, I made out of the same 12 by 12 sheet of craft plastic. There was no waste. I cut in my 8 by 10 panel first, and then I cut a bunch of smaller pieces to work off of, and that is why I like the 12 by 12 craft plastic versus Yupo. And you see the alcohol ink works just fine on it. Okay guys, so I'm just about done making my last panel, and this is going to be the one that I die cut my title out of. I'm going to be using some Sizzix dies. I love the Sizzix with Tim Holtz dies. The alphanumeric upper and lower are, I think, my favorite die set for cutting alphabets out ever. So the colors I picked, because I'm wearing purple tights in my picture, and I already have some of the purple and the cool tones going on in the panel that I made for my background. And I also need this to be dark enough that when I put it against that panel, you don't lose it, right? Because if I make it super light and then I die cut the letters out, you're not gonna see the title. So I pulled out, I'll tell you right now, this is called Amethyst. Amethyst is the dark purple I'm using, which is the main color on my background. And then I'm adding a little bit of Cool Peri, which is a periwinkle. So it's blue and purple. It's a light color. And then I'm adding a little bit of pink sherbet to add in a little bit more pink and to lighten this up. So this is looking very purple right now, but that's okay. That's what I wanted. I'm gonna add a little bit of alcohol right here in the middle where it was starting to get a little too dark. These colors do pretty much dry translucent, so you're still gonna see the background. So I just added a little bit of alcohol where it was just starting to get a little bit darker than I wanted it. And then I'm gonna add in a little bit of color, blow it around. But I think this is going to be, I think this is dark enough now that when I die cut, you'll still be able to see the letters against the background. So there's a few places here where that pink is just like a random dot of pink. So I'm gonna add a little bit of blending solution just to spread that out. And with this, you kind of need to like do a few motions, wait a minute. Do a few motions, wait another minute. Just to see where the color is gonna pool and sit. So I like to blow a color out and then like wait a second and go move on to another piece, like another portion that I'm working on. And again, the trick to using the alcohol blower is just to vary the direction that you're blowing from. Because whatever direction you're blowing from, obviously, is the direction that the color is going to move. So you just want to vary that so you get movement and you get an interesting piece. All right, so there are a few places right here where it's just a tiny bit too harsh. All right, I like that. I'm actually not going to add any sparkle to this one. My alcohol blower has run away. It's jump ship, which is okay because I'm finished with it, so it can go. So I don't think I'm gonna add any sparkle to this one, but you see, you guys, I didn't cover my work surface, and for the most part, not for the most part, everything has stayed exactly on my desk, on my media mat, but that's because I was working with smaller panels. So if you're working with a larger panel, you definitely want to consider covering your surface, but pretty much everything has stayed where I wanted it. So I'm gonna, one more time, pick this up so you guys can see. So here is where I'm going to die cut my title out of. I'm gonna, again, set that off to dry, clean up my mat, and then, oh shucks, pour alcohol all over myself. Clean up my mat, put away all my alcohol ink supplies, and then we're gonna switch gears and get ready to pretty much start assembling the bits and pieces for my page. I think after this, I'm going to switch to voiceover and work on assembling the bits and pieces for the actual layout that we're making. Okay friends, after realizing how devilishly long this is, I have decided to split this video into 2 videos. So come back in the next day or so if you want to see how I actually took all these elements and put them on a page. So till next time, keep it crafty and I will see you around. Bye!